You heard that safe drivers get rewarded with Snapshot from Progressive, so you went online to check it out. But then you saw an ad for a vintage baseball cap, and now you find yourself checking the stats of that team's second baseman in '97, wondering why his stolen base total dropped after his rookie season. Wonder how much his rookie card is worth. Yes, they said it was easy to save money with Snapshot from Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
What you doing?
Trying on glasses with Zenny's 3D virtual try-on.
Wait, are those the actual prices? I say get all of them.
Seriously, why not, right?
Oh, now I want new glasses.
Zenni.com. Quality prescription glasses starting at $6.95.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
Yeah, we made it back. 147, I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Rich.
Jay, he's wild card today. He might be here, he might not. See, already back in the spirit of Unregimented.
Mike might be here later on.
Yeah, we got a couple maybes.
Yeah, I know.
That's
right?
That's how we're rolling.
We play it fast and loose.
When's the last time all three of us were in the studio, though?
It's been a long time.
2014.
And it was without Jay, wasn't it? I think we did the Christmas and New Year's episodes, and Jay was here, because we were all in studio for that.
Perhaps.
Boy.
I know you guys do like...
anyone's bet.
You guys do like 50 podcasts a week. You guys are like Kevin Smith on crack, you know? You're just knocking them out.
That's what you got to do.
And apparently we smoke as much pot as Kevin Smith does.
I heard today that he's apparently he chiefs, man, a lot.
Yeah,
is this new news to you guys? Or?
Well, no, just the idea that he does it while he's working. Like, I've listened to his podcast and heard him smoking before. But the guy who's hosting his news show on is it AMC, Geeking Out?
Yeah.
And his co-host was saying how much of a high-functioning pothead he was, that he just smokes all day long.
Well, you know those stand-up...
while he works.
And they're not stand-up specials, but the where he gives little speeches and stuff, different colleges and stuff like that.
Who, Kevin Smith?
Yeah. Have you ever seen those?
Like Jay and Silent Bob Get Old?
Yeah, and Too Fat to Fly,
yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah.
When one of them, he talked about he stopped smoking cigarettes, and he actually became a pothead because of working with Bruce Willis on Cop Out. Or not Bruce Willis on Cop Out. Excuse me. It was between working with what's his face and Zach and Mary Make a Porno.
Craig Robinson.
Seth Rogen.
Yeah. And then, by the time he was working with Bruce Willis, he was like, thank God I was an all-day pothead because I couldn't have worked with Bruce Willis otherwise.
Really? I always figured, like, he was doing that shit all the time throughout his whole career.
No, he claims that he's never been a big drinker or pothead until then.
Really?
He's like, he's
a latecomer to the game. He's like Doug Benson. Like, Doug Benson apparently didn't get high till he was, like, almost 30.
The guy from Super Jaime?
Yeah.
He went hardcore once he started.
So Kevin Smith wrote Dogma sober?
Apparently.
Well,
nice.
Surprise.
Either that or he just was around Jay so much that he got a contact constantly.
Maybe drink ayahuasca.
Yeah, I remember when I heard him, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Half the crowd, when they asked him the question. On one of them, it was like an evening with Kevin Smith and an evening with Kevin Smith 2, Evening Harder. And they were in...
What?
It was an evening with Kevin Smith 2, Evening Harder. And they went to
Evening Harder sounds like porno I do not want to watch.
With Kevin Smith in it, yeah. I know. But yeah, they went to London, and some guy got up and he's like, "Hey, you want to after the?" And he's like, "Nah, Jay might, but I think he's trying to stay sober." And the whole crowd was like, "Oh, you're so full of shit. You know you're a pot." He's like, "I swear I'm not. I've done it, of course, but I don't do it every day." That's Jay, you know. That was the same one. It was so great. They were sitting there, and then one of the persons in the crowd stood up and goes, so, Jay, I heard you got arrested on Monday, and Kevin Smith and Jay at the exact same moment go, on Monday? Like, no, it was Wednesday. I didn't get arrested on Monday.
Well, Kevin Smith just seems like... he's got adult ADD.
Oh, I'd imagine
So
so.
I think when he found pot, he was like, okay, this levels me out. I think he's one of the rare cases where pot actually helps him focus. I think I fall in that category as well.
I know we've talked about it before. I don't know if it was on air, but it's like the friend.
I'm gonna tonight because I ate half of an edible.
I ate
Like
a
an
quarter
hour
of that
ago.
one.
It's like the friend you have that has ADHD and you do coke with him and he gets real focused all of a sudden and you're like,
Right.
wow, dude, you are really fucked up. You do need some like Adderall or something. Like, you need something to stay focused.
Yeah. Anyway, what's going on in the news this week?
Trump.
Trump backs off of his hard stance on immigration and starts towing the Republican Party line.
Because right now he is in a position to where he can, like, he went insane for a couple weeks and couldn't shut up, and now
Couple weeks.
How
old is he?
You know what I mean? And Hillary right now has got
40
all those.
divided by 12. is how many
Hillary's
weeks?
got those 15,000 emails she conveniently forgot to fucking mention.
Oh, right, that came back.
And apparently, right now, the Clinton anything involving with the Clinton Foundation's got some shadiness attached to it. So right now, he's like, in my opinion, he's playing it straight, trying to capitalize on this. It's down to she's only 5% ahead, and he can just kind of whittle away at that.
Well, I think both candidates are actually going up in the polls, which is strange, which doesn't bode well for the Green Party or Libertarians in
No.
this case. But
Hey man, I'm getting my Johnson Weld on
I mean,
in November.
I had read
Bottom line.
that Hillary was over 50%. So, like, Donald's crawling up, but she's crawling up as well. I don't think he's necessarily closing the gap on her yet.
The other day I saw 38 and 43 in a fucking the worst clip art I've ever seen, by the way. Let me see if I can find it.
All I know is that the polls are, there is such a wide discrepancy between what one organization says their poll results are and another one is, that I almost don't even believe it anymore. I'll just wait for the election. I mean, I get that it's a good half-ass gauge for it, but I mean, if you go to like alt-right websites, it's got Trump barely behind her. If you go to an obviously left-leaning website, it's got her crushing Trump, and Trump's, you know,
This
like,
thing I
in
was
a
looking at was like an
panic.
aggregator of a whole of like 10 polls.
Gotcha.
It's from the New York Times, I think.
I'm glad you mentioned alt-right, because this is something I was unfamiliar with until recently.
Well, I brought it up last podcast.
Yeah, I'd forgotten, I guess. So alt-right is just a clever nickname for the extreme racists on the right.
Yeah, I guess the way it was presented from... I listened to a podcast. I don't know who the guys were. It's not worth repeating their names. Very much like it sounded like a bunch of D&D playing guys trying to be like a bunch of pickup artists. And that was their...
What?
Like,
Yeah,
that's
look at this clip art. Isn't this like the worst clip art of their faces?
Sure.
I just won't. There we go.
It looks like someone's science fair project.
I know, right?
But yeah, they...
So wait,
44
what are-
39.
it's
Oh,
like-
he came 44 39. Well, it's still 5. Yeah, they both moved up a point.
What's D&D have to do with the alt-right?
It seemed like a bunch of like a bunch of guys who were way into D&D who were trying to be pickup artists now. It seems like that was the starting point of their entire outlook on the world.
Well, then somebody else is taking over the hashtag.
But no, they
These are-
kept claiming alt-right, and then I'm sitting there and I'm listening. It was like a 4-hour. First of all, it was a 4-hour long podcast. We were debating an hour and a half, 2 hours, and this shit was 4 hours long. So I skipped around, obviously, trying to hit get some points from here, because I was like, what the fuck are alt-right? What is it, like alt-country? Is it Wilco? But anyways, it seemed like what they were getting down to is it's the hardcore values without the religion. And also a healthy dose of, as you said, racism, sexism,
Well, here's some example
xenophobia
tweets.
thrown in for
They're
it.
hashtag alt-right means.
Oh, yeah,
because-
it's trending on Twitter also now.
Right. Alt-right means knowing you cannot have a first world country with a third world population.
Say it again.
That almost sounds like a proposition for bringing back royalty. Like, you can only be born into a certain class. Like, you can't... Like, everybody's got to start from somewhere, and alt-right means white people don't need to apologize for who they are or accept the smear that they have unearned privilege, quote.
Yeah, I saw a couple along those lines. Those were the ones that kind of jumped out to me. The other ones were more attacking Hillary, but I just...
This is they're referring to white privilege?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really get that.
Speaking of that, by the way, I saw something today. Mike White, who hosts the Projection Booth podcast, ChristopherMedia.net, suggested he was going to change his name to Mike White Privilege.
Very nice. Well, so alt-right is just a clever name for the wackos that have always been out there.
The extremists.
Alt-right holds up Trump as their alpha male, and yes, they do speak in these terms, alpha male, non-religious, very much like, okay, you fuck with us, we're going to crush you. This is how the guys on this podcast were coming away. And, of course, it's a podcast of these four meetings of the mind, and they all had their own podcast on their own. Mm-hmm. And I went and checked out a couple of them, and, I mean, it just... bitter-ass white people, bitter-ass lower working-class white people who feel like they're, okay, for as smart as I am, I should be farther in the game, and I'm being held back because of affirmative action, and you know, shit like that, and feminism is holding me back. And it's like, feminism... Personally, I think most feminism these days is something to be laughed at. Because
so each
it's just
side
joke.
Basically thinks the system is rigged, just in a different way.
It's the victimhood Olympics, man. Who can get gold and being victimized? Everybody wants to be a victim, and that's and they've joined in.
Yeah, apparently even the Olympians.
Well, yeah, I know. Swim shady, yeah.
Well, I don't really understand this. Does anybody understand what's going on in this situation?
Help! I'm being repressed!
This must oppress me somehow. Yeah. I gotta find a way.
You asked, I only know of Ryan, what's his name? Lochte.
I didn't know he wasn't like 50 until recently.
I didn't know he was 30.
The pictures I saw of him, he had that gray hair, like the pool fucked his hair up or something.
No, I knew that. Dude, I got the real shit. I know that was fake. I was like, that's some... Hey,
that could... yeah.
He's, what do you call it?
Make him look like
It's
Eminem.
cultural appropriation. That's ageism on his part. I'm offended. Where's my hashtag? I have real gray hair. He has fake gray hair. Fuck him.
Gray hairs matter.
Yeah, exactly. I earned this shit.
You ever pull one out of your mustache just like raw, just yank the fucker?
Oh,
God.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's not that I was offended by its presence. It's that it chose to stick straight out constantly.
Yeah, they got a mind of their own.
Yeah.
The rest of my hair on my face is brown, and then the white ones and the gray ones apparently are really into segregation because they're trying to stand out from the rest and get away from them. They don't want to lay down and get in line.
Yeah, they do tend to be extra kinky.
Well, anyways, the alt-right thing,
we're going back to alt-right.
Well, no, I just wanted to... It just seems to me it's a way to... Because the hardcore GOP, the old school GOP, has rejected Trump pretty much... I mean... resoundingly have said pretty much fuck him. You know, Ted Cruz getting up at the convention and doing what he did was a giant middle finger to Trump Republicans. Mm-hmm. So I think the alt-right is just a new catchphrase for I'm a Trump Republican.
Right. What do you think this has something to do with the fact that he is now I was going to say that he's leaning more centrally, but that's not. I mean, he was so far right on issues like immigration. Just coming a little bit to the center doesn't really make him near the center still. But towing the Republican line, like, is he trying to distance himself from these crazy people that he stirred up in the first place?
This could be a new national anthem.
I think I get,
like you invite a bunch of drifters to a party and then go, I don't know these people.
I guess I have to answer that question. I know it's unfair to do it.
Yeah.
But I have to answer that question with a question.
Yes.
Which is, do you honestly think that he, one, I guess it's a question in two parts. Do you think that he actually is racist? And do you think he actually, or do you think he believes what he's saying? He really believes it, or he's just saying it, and do you think he's really racist? I'm not convinced that he believes anything he's saying. I think he's saying a lot of stuff because he thinks it'll get him elected, thinks it'll buy him favor. For someone who, I mean, if you look at his track record, and I'm not on some Trump shit. I'm not on some Trump shit, but if you look at his track record, he hires minorities and women in higher positions of power than most of your Fortune 500 companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to side with whoever he thinks is going to help his brand get farther.
Yeah, I can buy that.
I think he's got ties in the Russian mob.
And I don't think
he's bringing up Russia.
He's a developer. He was a developer in New York, dude. Okay, he obviously. I mean, not to get off on some conspiracy theory shit.
When he owes Sergey some kickback from 10 years
you're
ago.
Going to rub elbows with some form of organized crime if you're doing.
I heard some of that shit from some of the people I used to work with. They talked about some dudes that come around some of the neighborhoods.
I don't think it's so much about whether I believe him or not, whether he's telling the truth, whether he believes himself. It's that his ideas, his morals are shapeable to fit whatever benefits him financially.
I think he is. I think he's a
shapeshifter.
He's a social chameleon. I really do. I think that if you put him,
Hillary Clinton was at his wedding, wasn't she?
Yeah, so was Bill. And Bill had his hand around what's his wife's name? Melania, Minka, whatever her name is.
Yeah, because he's given them millions.
Oh yeah,
over the years.
And once again, not to get off on some Trump shit. It's just if I'm trying to be fair, because I don't like Trump or Hillary, so fuck them both. In fact, if you're listening and you don't want to vote for him, vote for a third party. Fuck it. It's not throwing your vote away, but that's it. That's all I'm saying.
You do have options.
Yes, you do. Anyways,
the Johnson Weld. I'm getting it in November.
He wasn't politically active, but he was involved in with higher ups who ran the largest city in the U.S., New York City. So of course he rubbed elbows with right and left. He's probably rubbed elbows with apolitical people too.
Perhaps balls.
They just don't care. They
titties.
They're
rubbing everything.
Their political party is capitalism. I want more money. You know.
Well, what about these emails that came out this week? Did they actually find anything, any juicy tidbits in there, or
to be continued?
Yeah.
I think at this point,
there's no
like
telling.
only the other day she's like, "Oh, hey, it's crazy. 15,000 of them. Forgot. My bad." So I believe now they have been handed over, and now they're being examined.
Here's where I fall on that. I kind of Jay backed up.
It just looks shady, though.
Jay backed up what I've heard from other tech guys, and they all do this. They all go, "Oh God, really? This is so fucking." There's so much more to nail her to the wall on. This is just something that you can easily get the fucking masses behind.
Oh, I know, but now it just looks shady, though. Like, oh, whoops, 15,000. It's not like it was like 100 or 57. Right. 15,000. Oops.
I don't know. It just dilutes the message. It diverts the attention away from what I think is a bigger issue here. What's really going on with the Clinton Foundation? I mean, that's really all the issue that you need if you really wanted to aggressively take her down.
Well, hasn't Bill said he's going to stop giving speeches for money?
Mm-hmm.
Like now that we're 90 days out from the election.
Now they got.
How magnanimous of you, but
now that they got $42 million in the bank, he's going to stop.
Yeah. This is like the guy at the all-you-can-eat place who's got 30 chicken wing bones on his plate, and they tell him they're about to close the buffet down. He's like, "Well, I can stop eating chicken wings now, I guess."
Or
that's fine. I've had enough, I guess.
But can I get just one more chicken wing? Just one more.
just give me one. Just give me a to-go container.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get out of your hair. I'll let you close up.
Well, the Clinton Foundation, I've heard enough and read enough to where I'm kind of leery of big charitable organizations because money does not go. More money goes towards keeping those organizations going and goes towards what the organization is supposedly there for a lot of times. And I mean, he's Slick Willie and his wife. You really think all that money is going to where, helping some poor kid somewhere? No, come on now.
Some of it has to do some.
Some of it, yeah. I mean, I'd probably say tops 15%.
Yeah,
helping.
And I think I think that's pretty generous of me. Call me cynical, but
it is
to Bill helping give shelter to teenage runaways.
Yes, to girls outside of the Hustler Club on 8 Mile. Do you need a place to stay? I got one for you.
Among the issues that the Clinton Foundation tackles,
right under my balls.
One of them is global warming, which is interesting in so much as that in talking about the election, this is the only time that global warming has come up.
And we had scientists say that this year's been the hottest year on record ever for the entire world.
Portland just set a record the other day when they got to 100.
You don't even need scientists.
They've broken.
Just ask people.
I know, but
and observe weather. Like that's if you can look at how the weather that's been going down about the last decade and tell me shit ain't happening, tell you're a fucking idiot. And we're back to denial.
I heard someone. I wish I could remember the article or video I watched. I don't know. They get mixed up so much because I just shove so much shit in my head trying to get it from different sources and try to pick apart until I get to what I think's the truth. And anyways, someone said something that to me it rang a strong chord with me. It was this election more so than anyone in recent memory is not about issues. It's not even about ideology.
It's about don't look at me.
It's about
that's each candidate's strategy.
It's you got Hillary over here, and you got to the left, and you got Trump to the right, and they're both circling the presidency, waiting for the other one to fuck up bad enough to where they can just walk in and take it. They're not trying to win it. They're trying to not lose it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that's a fucking perfect way to describe it. I think
the last in sports, playing not to lose is never a good strategy.
You play to win the game.
Yeah. Sporgy.
We'll be coming back next week.
iTunes, Sabrina.
But I mean, because think about it. What issues are we really talking about? Are we really going to build a fucking wall and make Mexico pay for it? Is Hillary really going to take your guns?
Hey, no one's mentioning the bridge that we're building, that we're making Canada pay for. Everyone's forgetting that one.
Yeah, well, that bridge is like, what, 1/100th the size of the wall would need to be?
Well, I actually think Canada was like, nah, we'll pay for it.
And there was a lot of shit over that bridge here locally.
Yeah, Canada wants a bridge.
I think Canada said, we'll pay for it, and then we'll keep all the tolls. And we were going, all right, cool. But anyway.
I
think Donald Trump, his shit was just as impractical as Bernie Sanders, just in a different way.
I mean, I guess I can see where Bernie was making points about how we could pay for the stuff that he wanted. I don't see Trump besides going, we're going to build a wall and you're going to pay for it. And the president of Mexico or whatever the fuck they got down there's a video of him going, I'm not paying for that fucking wall. Flat out live on Fox News. And you can see the talking head on Fox News go, oh, and get this look on her face. And he's like, I don't know how many times I have to tell you people, I'm not paying for a wall. We are not paying for it.
Well, he's not talking about a wall anymore.
At the moment, I mean...
True. Things could change.
That's the other thing. He also is... he's very much on teleprompter now, compared to being off teleprompter when he started.
Yeah, he's Donald Bot at this point.
I think the people that were in the middle about him in the GOP said, okay, look, fuck it. This is the hand we've been dealt. We have to do something. We have to rein him in just a little bit. Get someone in there in his campaign who can get him to play ball just a little bit. Because Donald, most of the time, he shoots himself in the foot with a lot of the shit he said over the, last 18 months, 14 months, whatever it's been since he announced.
Yeah, but it always seems a couple weeks later he just bounces right back.
It's because he says some outlandish shit or he points to Hillary and he goes, look at this shit. Yeah, it's some John Gotti shit. It's art of war shit. It's constantly attack your opponent and shift where you're attacking them from to keep them off balance. And eventually, they just get so wore down they throw up their hands and quit. I mean, it's how HIV and AIDS works. It attacks your immune system from so many different angles. Eventually, your immune system just stops.
Well, good news.
What's that?
If we do fuck out the planet with global warming or with the Trump presidency, We found a close neighbor we could easily terraform.
I saw that the other day.
Proxima B
Yeah,
is only 4.2 light years away.
I'm down. Send me. Fuck it. I'll go. I don't know how we're gonna do the podcast, but
Does the internet work in space? They do have satellite internet.
I'll go. Fuck it. Load me and like 4
It'll
other people
work.
up.
You just have a lag of 4.2 years.
Just schedule them in the future. Way in future.
Right. I'll have a lot of editing in my future.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because I know
Yeah.
this is going to sound like some science fiction shit, but it really is something that, as a species, we really need to address at some point if we don't destroy ourselves. What the fuck are we going to do? Because this planet is not infinite. The sun will eventually go supernova, and that will be the end of us as we know it. It might be 4 billion years from now, and there might be 7 ice ages between then or whatever the fuck.
These are questions I'm worrying about.
But these are points that, like, why are we not addressing this outside of a fucking horrible movie to 2012? And there's some arc somewhere for John Cusack to hop on. But I mean,
it's
if the
not
world's
that we
gonna survive,
aren't
I want
addressing
John
it as
Cusack.
a species, but
Bruce Willis, don't forget. We need to send him up to the asteroid.
But, you know, the lack of planning on behalf of the human race in general, I mean, that's like our greatest failing. We've developed the intelligence to predict the future only to ignore it.
Well, what I hear constantly from people is it's too dangerous.
What's too dangerous?
To actually go out and colonize out off of the planet Earth, even the moon. It's too dangerous. And I'm like, okay, if that was
anywhere that's been colonized ever was too dangerous.
Thank you. So if that was the case, we'd have never fucking went anywhere. You'd have just been born where you were born and just been like, I like my little piece of dirt. I'm gonna hop around right here.
We wouldn't have Vegas.
Yeah, what if Columbus said it's too dangerous?
What about his piece of dirt? It looks like it's got some leafy green shit on there we could probably eat and some animals we could hunt, but it's probably dangerous over there. Stay over here.
Well, luckily we have the type of people in our population that get a hard-on when they hear things like it's too dangerous. We have crazy motherfuckers who are willing to jump into space capsules and spend 4 years, you know, and travel to another planet just to have that experience. They don't give a fuck.
Trump. You want to prove you want to prove you got the balls, homie? I'll vote for you if you get on that spaceship. Then you can start your own planet, your own image.
That's what. That's his.
You can be Cheeto Jesus on Planet B over surrounding their nearest.
That's his plan if he loses the election. It's going to be the most fantastic planet ever.
I'm going to do this, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be so awesome, and everybody's going to talk with one finger in the air.
The Trump point.
I know it's the same as the Slick Willie,
the Bill Clinton thumb point.
Yeah, the passive aggressive. I'm pointing at you, but not really. But seriously though, I mean, this is something that we haven't even explored all of Earth. And
yeah, the two from. I was talking about this the other day with somebody because I went to the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. I saw a fucking spruce goose.
Okay.
I never thought I'd ever see that thing ever.
Yeah.
How fucking huge is that thing, man?
It's fucking huge. Like, apparently, C-130s are smaller than it.
I mean, all right, let's... Spruce goose.
It's apparently also called the Hercules.
We need a better answer to how big it is.
It's fucking big, man.
300,000 pounds, 219 feet. Its wingspan is 320 feet.
Yeah.
Hey, all I know is that Francis Ford Coppola said Leonardo DiCaprio got it in the air for a second, so I believe it.
But what I was saying while I was at this museum is I went to the space part and just looking at things that had actually been in space. Like, whoa, fuck, that shit's actually been in space.
Oh, see.
But thinking about extreme up and extreme down are the two things, the two last frontiers. You know, same shit with the bottom of the ocean, shit that makes it the bottom of the ocean.
I take for granted that spending time in Florida during my school years, we used to go to the Kennedy Space Center all the time. And they have those fucking like Saturn V rockets laid out on their side, and you can walk the length of them. You're just like, like when you see them and you realize that you had 3 guys in a tiny capsule on top of all that firepower, you're like, those guys had balls big enough to come in a dump truck. That's insane.
Yeah, it's not as big as you would think.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is it's just like, well, I was a kid also. Everything's huge when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if I went back to the house, I remember when I was a little kid, I'd walk in and go, who the fuck shrunk this? But still, it's just, to me, it's like, we've never really done anything. I mean, you had guys like Carl Sagan, you had guys like Arthur C. Clarke saying, you know, look, this is just the cradle. We need to get the fuck out of the cradle. We can't stay in the cradle all our lives. That humans aren't meant to do that. And for a minute, I mean, granted, it was fueled by the Cold War, but for a minute, it seemed like, okay, we might actually start taking steps towards it. And now we went to the moon, and Russia threw their hands up, and now Richard Branson's our only hope.
Yeah.
Virgin Intergalactic Airlines or whatever.
It's another thing that we shouldn't look to our governments to solve. Another problem our governments are not going to solve for us. It's going to be private companies that take the reins on actual space exploration.
I have a feeling fucking Elon Musk going to be the first motherfucker on Mars.
Nobody's tax dollars are going to pay to terraform another planet.
Which is dumb because we do much better than we do blowing up other countries, delivering them freedom where they don't want it. But that's, I don't know. It's just something I've come to accept. We're never going to fucking stop being.
Elon Musk is going to put a condo on the moon.
Hey, well, if you're super, super wealthy, you'll be able to, go enjoy that. And they can live out their little Ayn Rand circle jerk. Or Ayn Rand circle jerk.
That would be some white privilege shit right there. That's some 0.01%er shit. I live on the moon. A summer on the moon.
I know that you guys are more of the small government bent than I am, but to me, it's just a terrifying idea that private industry is going to drive space exploration. Because to me, it's just because.
But as opposed to what, like a community effort, like private.
Why can we get a whole country? Well, most of our country ready to go bomb somebody else on some bullshit, but we can't for our own best interest. Is it because we have the cynical attitude of why even bother, or is it because
you want your top people on this, and your top people you have to pay the most? So you need a corporation to come up with that kind of money.
So there's no way that anybody can work together on this. That it could be.
Well, I just have competency issues with the government doing anything, really. They prove us right over and over that they are. Right. Look at your situation earlier this year.
Which one?
Getting arrested a year and a half later.
Well, yeah.
For your fucking license that you paid off.
Record keeping's not their strongest point.
Yeah, especially was it St. Clair Shores?
No, it was Lansing. Lansing pretty much didn't send an email. And a year and a half later, he's getting pulled over like, hey, you got a warrant out. For what? You're driving on suspended license. You mean this license that I paid for a year and a half ago and got back?
Gee, it sounds just like what happened to me.
In charge of getting us to the moon? That's my point.
But what's your alternative? If government can't do it and private industry is too scary to be left in charge of such an important mission, the only other option would be something like shit, what are they called? The guys in the blue helmets.
The UN?
Yes, the UN, thank you. The United Nations. Or some group like that. Or the World Health Organization. Like some...
Who?
Some, group that's not necessarily overseen by any particular government getting together and getting this shit done. I mean...
Okay, well,
the only way something like that's going to happen is when we enter crisis mode.
Well, then, of course, yeah. Then all of a sudden we're going to find out, oh, we've had all these contingency plans.
I've seen apocalypse movies. Something's going to happen and we're going to have to leave the planet. Someone's got to figure that shit out. Make it a race. The government can step in and incentivize the private industries to do it.
That's why I said a joint venture of some sort.
There's joint venture.
Okay, like, look, hey, you are a private industry.
First one to get us to Mars gets $1 billion.
But you have use of Kennedy, and you have use of parts of Kennedy Space Center. You have parts use of parts of Houston and et cetera, et cetera. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, to me, this is bigger than just the government or private industry, and I don't want either one to have a monopoly on it.
Yeah, but you have a large percentage of the population that doesn't understand how important space exploration is, and they don't want any of their tax money, even if it's just a penny, going towards something like that.
I hear those types, and they're like, "But I don't mind bombing me some brown people, but fuck that space." I saw a Fox News thing says fake anyways. This bunch of bullshit.
Right.
Take my fucking money. Stop giving it to them welfare darkies. No, keep your government hands off my Medicaid.
Right. NASA is like squeezing every penny and probably underpaying for the quality of people that they're getting, just because those people want to work for NASA and want to be involved in what's going on there. And meanwhile, the military is still spending $82 for a hammer.
What's really
probably more now.
What's really sad is that I think eventually what would happen is, no matter if it's a joint venture between a corporations and a government, if it's all one or the other, we'd fuck it up just because as a society, just because we'd start arguing about bullshit, like the guy that had like the Mars lander, T-shirt gate. What did his shirt say? Something like he had an old Star Trek shirt that said "Where no man's gone before" or something like that. Or
I don't remember. I don't remember what the controversy over the shirt was.
One man couldn't do it, but mankind could, or something like that. And all of a sudden, people lost their shit.
Oh, because women were involved as well.
This proves just how exclusive and not inclusive that the STEM area is, and we need to have more diversity in it. It's like, well, no one's. And this is where I agree with you guys. No one sticks a gun to your head and says study women's fucking studies in college. African dance. I got my master's in African American studies. Are you going to Moorhead? I don't think they're going to hire you, John Smith. So I think you just kind of pissed away fucking 6 years.
Is the next generation, like when they read about these heroes who traveled to the moon, like when they read that phrase, it's going to be deleted. It's going to be redacted. It'll just say, like, non-gender specific noun here. Like,
Zer. That's one step for Zer, one giant leap for Zerkind.
The other day I was talking to some female managers, and I said manpower, and I stopped, and I said people power.
There you go.
I got a women's studies major upstairs.
It happens, man. Everybody, you'll be assimilated, dude. It's just like in the book 3001. It's the fourth sequel in the 2001 series, and an astronaut from 2001. They bring him back. It's convoluted why he's brought back to life, but anyways, it's 1,000 years in the future. They've removed God from text. They say Deuce instead of God or deity.
Deuce,
not as in your Deuce, but like. All the texts have been, as you were joking, but it's how it's written. It has been expunged. It's one world religion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, dude, how many times has the history book's been rewritten in our lifetime?
Yeah,
history's constantly being rewritten.
Exactly. I remember having a 4th edition history book in the middle of the semester, switching to a 5th edition, and going, well, wait a minute, where's all the shit that we read in the 4th edition? That's no longer valid. How the fuck is history no longer valid? That was my first experience. And
history is actually as pliable as our own memories are. Memory isn't as constant as some people may think. It's when you every time that you remember something, especially like an event, you are replaying that event in your head, and it's a copy of a copy of a copy. It's like if every time you wanted to watch your VHS tape, you had to record it onto another one. So every time you watched it, it got worse and worse.
Okay,
that's how memory works. So
All right.
The things, like, we have specific things that, like, stick out in our memories of, like, memorable moments.
Like, Luke, I am your father, and he never said that.
But it's all idealized. Every last bit of it is idealized. And how you experience that and the emotions that surround that memory.
I read an article today
greatly.
about cognitive cognitive offloading.
What is cognitive offloading?
It's fucking.
It's fucking, right? I'm with you so far.
Damn. Trying to remember. It was an article about how Google's rewiring our brains.
Oh, yeah. We talked about how
how people with smartphones, how everyone's got to take a fucking picture rather than try to have the memory. Mm-hmm. That's happening too.
Yeah, it's part of the outsourcing.
So it's
in
leading
our evolution.
It's leading to people like having less vivid memories of things because whatever, I took a million pictures. I know I don't need to remember anything associated with this, the smells, the taste, any of the emotions I felt because I took a picture.
So they were drawing a correlation between taking a lot of pictures and having a poor memory of something.
Just the smartphones in general.
Well, no, I get the smartphones thing, but I just real quick, I've never been one to take a lot of pictures. I don't like.
No, I'm not. I'm not taking 100 pictures, guy.
When family dies and I end up
doing a
inheriting
selfie
stuff,
at the casket.
I go through the pictures and I'm like, okay, I'll take out ones, like specific ones I want, and the rest of them go in the trash. People are like, how could you do that? How will you remember it? Because it's up here in my head. Why do I need a picture?
No, but what you're talking about is that we've, I want to say outsourced our brain, but our brains have adapted to the current technology that we have. So remembering phone numbers and shit.
Oh, forget that shit.
Is no longer something that we spend brain power on because it's all right here.
But I bet you remember your first phone number.
Nope.
You don't remember your very first phone number?
Do not.
Oh, shit. What about you?
Which one? I know my parents. I know the line I had when I was a teenager. Now, I couldn't tell you my first cell phone number that I had in 99 or my first pager number.
It's about the one that when we were kids, our parents made us memorize in case, like,
oh,
we
fuck
got
yeah,
lost.
bitch.
That's
Hell
what
yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like my social security number. Unless Alzheimer's hits or I stroke out, I'm going to remember it.
I sent you that.
I don't remember.
article.
I don't.
You
remember
your social security number?
I remember my social security number.
Okay.
No. I know that. I know my driver's license number too.
But
I don't remember. And maybe my memory's failing me. It's totally possible. But I don't remember being asked to memorize my home phone number.
Well, I don't know. That might have just been our parents a little bit paranoid, because we are a little bit younger, so we were raised during that whole Adam when he was the guy who went on, what is it, John Walsh or whatever, who went on to do America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, there was definitely in the 70s a much more hands-off approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm right on the cusp of that because for the most part, I was my family was hands off.
Yeah.
But
my parents were nature and yours were nurture.
But then my mom was like, oh, God. I think it was just, oh, God, if he gets lost, I don't want to have to deal with people asking questions. Just memorize our fucking number. I think it was more for her than me.
The term cognitive offloading was developed by Canadian researcher Evan F. Risco and his British colleague Sam Gilbert. According to them, this is a process that has been going on for centuries or more. For instance, for decades now, we've been using calculators to do our finances and writing down important dates in the calendar, but no technology has altered how we think quite like the internet. So this begs the question, what might this be doing to our brains? They found that people will use technology when they try to believe it is superior to their own capabilities. Though we may believe offloading hurts our memories, people do need these devices because we are capacity limited, so such devices allow us to subvert our cognitive limits, according to these dudes.
I mean, that's why we are successful, is because we are adaptable. And we adapted to the point where we could use technology to adapt even further. This goes all the way back to starting a fire to cook your food instead of eating it raw, right? Previously, our stomachs were capable of eating raw meat and processing it like most predators, right? You don't see chimpanzees cooking up shit. They eat other chimps raw.
Watch your house cat outside.
Right. Right.
They're not like, hey, we got to get some barbecue sauce and make this medium rare.
So we outsourced that part of our stomach that was able to process raw foods. Now we cannot. We will get sick if we eat raw meat, right? It's no different. We've adapted and we've used technology to further our own evolution and take control of it. It's the same thing with any technology, including the internet or a smartphone or a computer or whatever it may be.
But this one guy, there's another guy, he believes that focus and deep contemplation are what we are giving up.
Right. Well, no. I don't... As our brain it's the exact
acquires
opposite.
This new skill,
look,
using air quotes on a podcast, we're giving up something else.
But we're advancing at such an exponential rate because we are able to outsource these things and we are able now to take time for contemplation because we don't have to farm for 14 hours a day and then it's eat, fuck, and go to sleep and get up and repeat just to make sure that there's food on the table. This is all part of these conveniences that have allowed us to have the time to actually think about the bigger issues, like where the fuck are we going to live next?
The end of the article does come on your side of the fence there with saying people were saying the same things about the printing press.
Yeah.
Well, it's any new technology.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's fear of anything new, and that fear is part of it's hardwired in us, just as fight or flight is. I mean, it's something we can't get over. But I don't. You did.
It's an irrational fear to say, like, oh, we can't go back from this, right? Oh, well, once we outsource this part of our brains to the internet, there's no going back. Well, yes, evolution is a one-way street. You know, you can't jump back into the ocean and sprout fins. That's not how this shit works. It's always moving forward.
Fucking, I knew Waterworld lied to me again. Going back to part of the article, you said that we're giving up two things. What were they again?
Focus and contemplation.
Okay, focus.
Deep contemplation.
Focus.
I believe the word deep.
Focus is. I mean, let's look at the word focus. It's a fancy way of saying attention span. I mean, how long can you focus on a single issue? How long can you focus on this?
What?
Exactly. I would say that attention spans have gotten shorter, but that's because we can process information at a faster rate than we used to.
Yes.
Now, deep contemplation.
Yes. I'm processing at a fast rate.
Deep contemplation, I agree with, because
I wholeheartedly disagree. I mean, maybe it's just my own personal experience.
You and me might sit down, or you and I might sit down and have a deep conversation.
Yeah.
But whereas that used to happen with friends I had 20 years ago, they don't have the patience nor the will to have a conversation that's deeper than most puddles you step in. And I don't know if that's just because they've gotten older.
Yes, there are more distractions than ever available. And if you're the type of person that is easily distracted, or that's all you're really looking for out of life is a distraction, then there you go. You're fucking set. But not everyone's Albert Einstein, right? The type of... It's not like we're losing brilliant minds because there's too much to watch on Netflix. Those people just aren't taking that in, right? You know, those people that are devoted to science or politics or business or whatever it is that drives them to make them successful, they have something different than, let's face it, the majority of the population do.
No, I agree with that, and I would even go so far as to say some of the people I know who are best in the fields they're in, that I know personally, can have 4 different things going at once and process it all.
Yeah.
And still focus on what they're doing. They're like, it can work. I have a buddy who's got, you go to his house, he's got 5 fucking monitors. He's got Rust on this screen, he's got fucking Netflix playing on this screen, he's writing code on 2 screens, and he's got his fucking... And I'm like, how the fuck are you paying attention to all this? And he's like, I just take it all in. And I'm like, bullshit. And he'll tell me what they fucking said on this, and he's playing Rust at the same time as he's coding.
My old drummer, man, go over to his house, he's playing a video game while watching TV while the radio is on. So what the fuck? What the fuck?
Overstimulation.
Yeah.
I can't. I've tried to do that, and it's like my brain's only going to pay attention to one thing. The only thing that
I'm to
works
the point
together.
now where I've realized, like, when I read something and I'm listening to a podcast,
Yeah.
I'll pause the podcast because I want to absorb the information of what I'm reading. Mm-hmm. Or vice versa. If I'm reading something and I want to listen to something, I'll stop reading so I can listen. Like, it's... I know my limits.
Listening to music and reading are the only two things that I can do at the same time. And even then, if a song comes on that really interests me, I'll put the book down and go, okay, what's this? You know, I'm not processing both equally.
I'm not that good, and I know it.
I mean, maybe when I was younger, because I used to do this all the time when I was younger, I'd always have, like, I had my tape collection, I had my boombox on my nightstand, and I'd set it up to where I'd play one side of a tape and click over to the second deck and then start playing the other tape. And I'd just read and wouldn't stop until, you know, both sides of the tapes had played.
Right.
Flip them over, start it again. And, I mean, I'd listen to the music, but I wouldn't. What I'm getting at is I don't know how I did that then when I was 14, because I try to do it now, and I'm like, if it's
brains change.
Well, also, a lot of it is, I think, because when you ever notice how kids will always listen to the same or watch the same thing over and over and over. There's a lot of the same music. Now it's like if I'm listening to music, I try to find new stuff. If I'm trying to listen to new stuff, or I'm reading a book I haven't read before, obviously I want to concentrate on that. And I'm not really retreading over the same stuff over and over like I did when I was 14.
Yeah, there's very few things, though, that I go back and watch. I mean, even movies that I really enjoy, TV shows that I really enjoy, books. There's too much new shit out there to, like, rewatch any of that shit. There's very particular things. But, shit. What was the point that I wanted to make and I lost it? God damn it.
Ironic of what lyrics just happened when you fell off the train.
Now it's bothering me. I'm stuck in that, like, I'm on the precipice of remembering what the fuck it was I was going to say.
Yeah. And we have a music bed. No editing this.
Yeah, no.
I just want to see how long he'll squirm on the hook. This is kind of fun because usually I'm the one that's like, oh fuck, I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, I remember. Okay,
We're back.
I am part of the MTV generation, right?
Yeah.
What did they say about MTV? That it was ruining people's minds. Why?
No, because just ruined music instead.
Because everything was so chopped up and really fast edits. And there was a lot of videos that would get played on MTV that would bother me because they were so heavily edited and all the cuts were really short. But so the idea was like, oh, well, because of MTV, people's attention spans are getting shorter, right? Well, what do we have now? Yeah, we have a whole population of people with less attention spans, but everything's moving faster. So if I was, like, you know, raised in a bunker and didn't experience MTV, I would probably be at a disadvantage. The same thing, like, people talk now about how, well, kids are all on device. They have phones, they have iPads, they have their own computers, they're on them all the time. It's not good for them. Well, yeah, everything in moderation. And to be on it constantly, I agree. Nothing constantly works out well, usually. But I don't want my kids to be at a disadvantage either, right? If this is how they're communicating, if this is the way that the future of business, of politics, of anything on Earth is going to run, they're going to have to be part of that and know how to speak that language and communicate with people in ways that they understand.
Definitely.
So,
like, I've heard people talk about how Facebook is more of, it's now become more for people of our generation, and like Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram are for, I mean, let's be honest, if you're under 18, legally you're a kid, so that's how a lot of kids these days. And what's Twitter? Twitter's 140 characters, right?
Yeah.
That's all you can put down.
For now. It's about to change to like 10,000.
What?
At some point this year.
Then it won't be Twitter.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I don't run Twitter. Why attacking me?
Welcome to Blogspot.
I know,
Welcome
right?
to Tumblr. Welcome fucking
Reddit.
everywhere else where you can go on and on about shit you know nothing about.
Hey, I
or what you had for
I wish we
dinner.
could sit down in that meeting. Hey, guys, what's the one thing that makes us unique? Let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
Fuck this unique shit. But no, and it's kind of true because I had signed up for Twitter a few years ago, and because of Sporgy and talking to Chris, he's like, everything happens on Twitter.
For the podcast, it is, man.
And sports, especially, and I've heard this from people besides you. They're like, you got to be on Twitter for for constant sports updates, et cetera, et cetera.
Twitter is
I
great
get on there
for
and I'm
news.
like, I get on there and I'm like, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
Every 5 minutes, like I follow some people, and I'm talking like news organizations, and it's just like is someone sitting there just going, oh, this just popped in my mind, I better post this.
Right.
It's like, no, dude, you're ESPN. Don't
Yeah.
Did you see the shoes Lochte was wearing?
If I followed sports like that, or I wanted to know when my favorite band was coming to town, that would be a good use for Twitter. And my, if you want up-to-date information with people that interest you, great. This idea that everyone needs to have a Twitter account, I don't understand it.
Well, and also, like, piggybacking on what you were saying, everything is so much more rapid fire, and things are changing so at such a quicker pace. Like a perfect example, listening to the radio earlier today, and they were talking about a Twitter post from 7 years ago from someone. And they were like, could this be the same person who posted this 7 years ago? And I'm like...
Twitter celebrated a decade this year.
And I'm like, it's that different? Like, but then think about 7 years ago. Think about the shit that we've had in the last 2 years. 7 years ago, did you think that we would be discussing transgendered people not as in, hey, look at the tranny, not in the Howard Stern point and laugh, hey, look at this weirdo. But I mean, where they're going to use the bathroom, their rights.
I think a lot of
what they're going to be, what
right.
are
conversations we're having would be ripped out of The Onion 20 to 25 years ago that we're having now.
I kind of agree, and this is the one thing I had for the podcast today, and it's something that I talked to a few of my friends' kids about who were, they're teenagers. I said, when I was your age, our fight was to not be labeled, to not be put into a box and say you are this.
This generation's on Adderall. They're OCD. They got to label everything.
And it seems like the fight now is to find something to be labeled as.
Find your group.
Yeah.
Find your people.
And I mean, it's even as something as silly as, and I didn't notice this till it was pointed out to me, but a lot of my friends' teenage daughters, the more left leaning they are, like the ones that color their hair. That's what I'm talking about. The more left leaning they are, usually it's like blue, or
right,
something like that. And the more. In fact, I guess there's a meme about this. The silver-haired or gray or white-haired redneck racist chick. Like the chick who's like, I only date guys who drive trucks and stuff like that. And I started looking like at videos online, and it kind of holds up. The stereotype kind of holds up. And I'm like, isn't this what we didn't want? I mean, isn't this what, like, when we were kids, we just like, hey, so what are you? Are you a goth? Are you a burnout? Are you a... I'm me, man. What I
typed in silver-haired racist chick meme or any of those.
No, it was videos. It was country chick, blah 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 blah. I can't remember. Well, anyways, I asked a few of them. I said, so "Is this on purpose?" And they're like, "I don't know. It's just that a lot of the feminists dye their hair blue or color their hair blue, and I think that's where that comes from. I'm not really sure about the silver-haired or gray-haired thing because." I don't really know anyone like that. And I'm like, well, of course you don't, because you identify yourself as, like, you have a list this long is what you identify as, and you don't associate with anyone outside of that list or unless it's online to argue with somebody.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, when we were hanging out, when talking about me, when I say we, I'm talking about me and my crew when I was younger, we had all types of people in our crew. And I mean, it was at one point like we get jokes because we had one kid who had long hair but wore the starter Raiders jacket and a Raiders hat. We were like, what kind of confused wigger are you? Yeah. You know? Like,
what'd you call him, White Cube?
I'm like, dude, seriously, you understand, like, and this is before Kid Rock made the shit so you could somewhat get away with it in certain circles. No one was dressing like that. I mean, you know, combat boots, flannels, and starter jackets. You know, it's like no one was pigeonholed, and I just
okay. It's apparently you like the West Coast.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're covering
from the north all the way to San Diego on the West Coast. But yeah, I this is something that I'm not understanding, and since I don't have a kid that is of like school age anymore, yes, she's college age, but like, is this something they're doing in schools more? Are they going, okay, like we're going to lump this group of kids together? Because it's got to be coming from somewhere that I'm just not seeing because I'm not involved in it.
Look, I think that everyone wants to find their family, and when your blood family doesn't stay together or, you know, doesn't live up to your expectations or whatever it may be, you'll find your family somewhere else. This is why we have, still massive amounts of gang activity across the country, because these people don't have a family and they find a new family. What's the author's name? That did Slaughterhouse-5.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Kurt Vonnegut, in his book Slapstick, one of his characters runs for president, actually becomes president, and part of the platform is, and the plan that is executed afterwards, is everyone gets a shared name, right? So there's like this X amount of number of names, and everyone gets assigned one of those, 20 or 100 names. Mm-hmm. And that is your new extended family. So
just by virtue of the name you've been assigned.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And it actually works to bring people together that were previously strangers. You meet someone, and they have the same, let's say it's, whatever your normal name is, with Clover at the end of it. Oh, you're a Clover too. Well, so am I. I got a couple neighbors that are Clovers as well. Let's get together.
You like Spice Girls?
But yeah, I mean, sometimes we find family in bad ways that leads us into illegal activities or dangerous things or unhealthy activities, and
sometimes you meet the family like Corleone.
But it is interesting to me when people try to they try and be different, and they just end up finding the family that's just like them, right? and sometimes those families grow out of control. Like, I'm going to get a bunch of tattoos to stand out and be different and be that freak. But like, everyone's got a fucking tattoo now. So who's your family?
Exactly.
When I used to work at the mall,
do you actually identify? You can't pick two people with tattoos and think that they would have anything to talk about with each other anymore.
Mm-hmm. I used to work at the mall. We used to make fun of the quote-unquote alternatines, and my rip on them is be like, hey, we're gonna fucking cry individuality while we're all dressing exactly the same.
That's right. It's like SLC Punk. Like, why do you dress that way? I dress this way to rebel against society and blah, blah, blah. Well, every other punk's dressed that way. Aren't you pretty much wearing a uniform?
When I was in a band...
Aren't you just as bad as wearing a suit?
Yeah. I figured we were the most fuck you band out there because everyone in our band, none of us had tattoos or piercings. Like when I was in a metal band, you go to the gigs and it seems like the uniform is you got to have tats, you got to have shit in your face, and we show up, no tats, no piercings. Like, fuck you, we're the most metal out of all y'all. You all look the same.
Yeah, I just had discussions and we're like, why don't you have any tattoos? And I'm like, okay, once again, fat guy, tattoo. Take silly putty, put it on a newspaper, pull it off. Now stretch it. Well, what if you lose weight? Can you put the silly putty back to where it looks right? Okay, no matter what, it's going to look like I'm hitting G's. You know what I'm saying?
Not unless you get like a mad fold in.
Yeah, I know, right? Over time, and then it shrinks back down and like, hey, he'd lost weight because his fold in went back in and then he put it back on because it spread out. No, I agree with you, man. I actually had a conversation with a guy, and he's tatted up, got a couple piercings, and I was like, you realize that. I thought it'd be our generation, but I'm like, especially your generation, because he's like 22, 23. I'm like, you're going to be the normal person with all these tattoos and piercings. It's the freaks are going to be the ones without them. Because I don't hardly know anyone who's not a kid who doesn't want a tattoo anymore. I mean, any kind of like badassery that goes with a tattoo has gone way, way far away.
Every chick's got something written on her body somewhere.
Oh,
like every fucking one of them.
Okay, this one. Okay, I just have to say this.
Of Amy Schumer's new book is called "The Girl with the Lower Back Tattoo."
No,
I just have to bitch about this. This is just me, ladies. I don't know what it is. What is with the tree tattoo with no leaves on it? So it's just a bunch of twigs on you now, and it's like it's usually up the side of their leg, up to the onto their torso, onto their back, and I'm just like, okay, you look like the end of fall before winter starts. Is this edgy? Is this
the message I'm getting is your seed will find no purchase here.
Yeah, it's like
not baby making material.
I mean, is this supposed to be edgy? Is this? I don't get it. But hey, they can do whatever they want. It's their body. But I'm just saying, like, I'd think twice about that one if you're contemplating a tattoo, male or female. Honestly, it's just. Especially if you're pale, put some color on you. If you're pale, God graced you with a white sheet of paper to start on. Right, you can go all the colors in the rainbow.
I guess it's just as bad as most people's taste in art. I mean, there's so much such a diversity of art available, yet people hang the same Thomas Kincaid picture in their fucking living room.
Hey man, look, my dog's playing poker. It's timeless.
You'd think that you would want something a little more personal and original to immortalize on your body, but instead you lift quotes from other people. You get birds stenciled on you or some fucking paw prints.
Hey man, I know a lot of hipsters with nautical stars, and sparrows or swallows or whatever it is on them right now. We're like, fuck you guys,
right?
Seriously.
But then the cooler people that I've met with the that have interesting tattoos, they tend to have a lot of shit that's just like garbage. Like, why would you tattoo? Like, oh, somebody dared me to tattoo that.
Yeah.
But like a lot of it is, I don't know. I knew a guy who had, I can't remember what exactly it involved, but something to do with the popsicle that had like a mouth full of big teeth, and it was like trying to eat something else. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, my friend drew it. Okay, great. I mean, at least you have something original on you.
Yeah, to me, a tattoo, if I see a tattoo, it doesn't stand out unless it's one of two things. Okay, three things. If it's really horrible, I'll be like, oh, God damn. No. How drunk were you when you got that? Or...
It's the worst is when they get their kids and they look like, come out looking all mongoloid.
No, the worst. And I have a few friends who are going through this right now. Girlfriends, husbands, wives, and boyfriends' names in places that it's not easy to cover them up. And I'm like, oh boy. But anyways, it's either if it's really bad, or if the art is really unique, or if it's really well done. Like I've seen some tattoos that I'm like, if I had that tattooed when I died, I'd be like, can you like take this patch of skin off and then frame it somewhere? Because this is almost like a piece of art. This needs to live on beyond my ass. I've smoked and drank through most of my life. I'm not going to be here for most people to enjoy this. We need to put this someplace.
That's right. Give my eyes to Stevie Wonder and save that tattoo on my back and make a drum out of it.
Well, also what I've seen, which it sucks for a lot, like growing up, being a musician, I was around older musicians. Every once in a while, I'd run into a guy who had a really original tattoo I'd never seen on anybody, and then he'd see it on a bunch of. It's like it'd start popping up on random people around him, and he'd go, "Fuck!" Now everyone's gonna think I got this, and I'm like, dude, I know we're not, we're supposed to look down on him for being a try-hard to be original, but if you were really being original, and this is before the internet, so it's not like they went online, saw it, and was like, I want that. If you were really going out of your way to be original, and you're the first person who went to Eternal back in the day and got the tattoo from the artist, and he had it in his book, and some douchebag walk in like, bro, that's sick. I want that. Put that on my calf. Next thing you know, you got some date rapist walking around with your art on there. You're like, oh, motherfucker. I can understand that. I can understand being a little, like, bummed about that.
Yes.
It's like, hey, it's that, you kind of, it's like, you know, people walking around, or perfect example, here in Southwest Michigan, people driving around with rebel flags listening to Public Enemy. You're kind of missing the point there, buddy.
Hey, man, speaking of which, you were talking to me like I knew what the fuck Prophets of Rage was.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, we had to enlighten him the other day.
Yeah, I did not
So
know what Prophets of Rage was. Oh, I know now. Oh, I know now.
Dude, it's you, okay? First of all, I don't know how into Public Enemy you are, but I'm pretty sure you've listened to a few Cypress Hill albums, and I know you listen to Rage Against
Bro,
the
I'm
Machine.
not the me I used to be with music, man. Remember, it was on an Unregimented. My Clear Line in the Sand is 2010. I can see it in the Grammys. It's where I start having no idea who those names are.
That was a great episode, by the way. Just going through like
2010 and back, I could tell you who everybody is. That's 2010. Like, fuck are these people?
And then Aaron was just sitting there hating on it all. It was a great. Go back and find that episode if you're listening. It really is great. You really see the music snobs come out in us on that one. That one, and when we were talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Aaron comes out with, "I always liked Robin Trower better." And I was like,
I do.
And I'm like, I love them both, but I guess I'm in that weird camp.
Well, as long as we're talking music, you know, I read an article recently about L7. Which is a band that I have always just despised.
I knew it was going to be an extreme reaction. It was either I love them
I cannot
or hate them.
Stand that band.
Okay, why?
And
this is seriously what I mean. Just why?
Well, okay. So this article is talking about. It's entitled, and it's in the.
Besides this song,
the Chicago Tribune says L7 is better late than never, getting respect. What respect for what? That's what I don't understand.
For their 15 seconds on the middle of 120 minutes in 1993
years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's describing
Actually, Beavis
this
and
band.
Butthead talk some shit about them too.
That's the only reason I think a lot of people know who they are.
He's like, "Hey, Beavis, let's pretend we're dead."
Let's see. Looking back at the band's heyday, Sparks is going to see.
This is the band where she threw the tampon at the crowd.
L7's place in the evolution of women in rock. Although all-male bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam became the massive stars of the grunge scene, it was also a time that ushered in a greater influx of female players. I guess.
Okay, I mean, hold on a sec. Were they considered part of the Riot Girl?
No.
I was going to say,
grunge.
that was, the Riot Girl thing was, they couldn't latch their wagon to that horse.
Sparks says that L7 helped by being Pied Pipers in the rock scene. What were you...
For who?
For who? Avril Lavigne?
Lesbians.
I mean, I'm serious. I'm not even being a smart ass. I'm really trying to think of an all-female rock group, or that could fall under the umbrella of rock. After L7, that L7 influence.
I've
even
never heard anyone say. Yeah, I've never heard any artist say.
You're going to tell me L7 was more.
I've heard female artists say 4 Non-Blondes. I've never heard them say L7. I've heard. Well, she come from the Pixies. Come on, dude.
But how you gonna say L7's more influential than her? Anyone in L7? Who wrote this article?
How about 07? They're more influential
asshole?
than L7. Fuck, man. Yeah, what art? What? Okay, what site was this on?
It's Chicago Tribune.
Asshole.com.
I was wondering if it was the AV Club, because they've been doing a lot of whole shitting but propping up shitty 90s. Shitting on everything that is considered sacred from the 90s, but propping up a bunch of garbage.
I know, but all this article talks about is like shenanigans of them, and when they would travel back in the day, they would tell everyone that they were Metallica's wives. That's hilarious. You crazy girls, crazy chicks. None of it like really talks about. I mean, if this person who wrote this article is into L7, really, let's talk about the song some. But it's all about their attitude and the way they dress, how they, they wore flannels while every other chick was like wearing a halter top or some shit.
Okay, first of all,
on MTV, not in the world.
Well, first of all, you have to take into consideration this is the Chicago Music Press, which the whole song Cherub Rock and half of, I want to say Siamese Dream, it might even have been Gish, is a big fuck you to the Chicago Music Press from the Smashing Pumpkins. But,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
The grunge era this is Sparks, whatever her name is.
Danita Sparks?
Yes, her. This is her quote. Grunge era's main legacy, which gets ignored a lot, is how many women were playing in bands that were getting coverage in the mainstream rock press and on MTV who were fully clothed.
Okay, you know what? Okay, hold on.
That's
a valid point. That's a valid point. Because think about it. Darcy never pranced around for the Smashing Pumpkins half naked. Neither did Melissa Oftemer or something. I can't remember. From Hole.
Oh,
and then eventually A Perfect Circle. Paz from A Perfect Circle. She didn't run around naked, half naked. I mean, a lot of the female musicians. Granted, they were mostly bass players.
But that's grunge's main legacy.
Well, no. I'm just saying she has a valid point about.
Talk about music. Okay. Look who shows up.
So she has a valid point, but
in a sea
she's
of bullshit,
just over exaggerating.
Yeah.
That valid point. Yeah. I mean, but they came up at a time where we were more used to seeing women playing in bands, just not having to be an all-female band, not having to be like dancing, singing act or something like that. They could just be in a band like any guy could be in a band.
Thank you, guy I don't know. I didn't know that we had our own cleanup service here on the podcast. We're coming up like 7-Up, baby.
Yeah, Mike's emptying the ashtrays.
Mike joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
How can you say that L7 were like pioneers of that?
No,
they were just lumped in with every other.
Heart is a pioneer of a woman-led
there you go.
rock band more so than L7.
I don't even like Joan Jett, but Joan Jett is
the Pixies.
Yes,
more so than L7.
Right. The Pixies were the first ones to do the female bass player thing.
Yeah, for the most part. Because I was trying to think, the chick from the Dandy Warhols. I think she played bass, didn't she?
Keyboards.
Hey, what about
keyboards?
Sometimes.
What about White Zombie?
Topless? I remember a couple videos. She had some.
What was her name?
It was just pasties.
She had some stuff to go topless. So really?
Yeah.
I'm missing out on that. All right.
Oh, you never seen Dig?
No.
Dig is a documentary about the. Stop touching your mic, Mike.
So I was moving it up.
Sorry. Touch this part.
My bad.
If you need to move it, touch it here. Okay?
Grab it by the shaft, not the head.
Dig is a documentary that follows Brian Jonestown Massacre and the Dandy Warhols at a time where Dandy Warhols were becoming really popular, and Brian Jonestown Massacre was bleeding members at a rapid pace because of all the fights and drug abuse that were happening.
I have heard of it. I didn't realize that was that documentary.
It's fantastic.
I'll have to check that out.
I love it.
Is it on Amazon Prime?
I don't know. I think they used to play that on like HBO back in the day. That's
really?
That's where I saw it.
This chick bass player.
No.
Sean
Sean
what's your point? They don't predate L7. I mean, this would be in the same group as like every other band that had a female bass player.
That's my point. Female bass player. I thought we were naming female bass players. Not playing the game anymore?
Man, okay, I'm really...
Who are you people? Where am I?
I really had to pull from my head, but I would say fucking Belly has more of an influence.
Tanya Donnelly from Throwing Muses?
Exactly. Because of their musical...
I love Belly. I've been listening to a lot more Throwing Muses, stuff that I didn't really fully comprehend back in the day.
What about Liz Phair?
Throwing Muses is fucking brilliant shit, man. And so, like, kind of crazy aggressive, too, on most of the stuff. Like, the way that Kristen Hirsch, not the other singer, the main singer in Throwing Muses, she's just got like. She could sing for a heavy metal band.
What about
no
Ani
problem.
DeFranco?
What about her? Are we just naming women who don't shave?
No, Liz Phair shaves. I saw that photo shoot to prove that. Yeah, Liz Phair. Perfect example. Liz Phair was Chicago music critics' darling when Exile on Guyville come out and then Whip Smart come out. And I think she had one more album come out, and it really tanked. And she was on Matador. I remember that much. So
yeah.
Last time I saw Liz Phair, she was doing a straight-up pop song.
Yep. And next thing you know, she's on VH1 as their pick of the week in like 2003, and she's like, it looks like a Mariah Carey video or some shit. Mm-hmm. And she's not even holding the guitar, and she's dancing, and I'm like...
Well, no, I remember that video. I maybe I was giving it the benefit of the doubt. I saw it as tongue-in-cheek.
Oh,
you saw it as like her Octung baby phase?
Right.
Like kind of ironic?
Yeah.
I mean, she's
it didn't work either way, but
she went back to her bread and butter. I mean, she's now doing acoustic gigs or like with a three-piece band, doing her stuff that she got known for.
It's kind of like Jewel, where that point in her career where she decided she could have it both ways. Like she could be a sexy pop star and still make fun of it, and then realize it just doesn't work that way.
Well, she lost it. She lost her right to do that when she did the fucking shit commercial.
The shit commercial.
Chic.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, for look it up, Jewel. Shit commercial.
A shit commercial.
Shit. Shih Tzu. You gotta be careful with that one.
Doesn't matter. Either way, Jewel still has an amazing fucking rack.
I really thought you were going to say voice. I really thought you were going to say voice.
I'll take Liz Phair over Jewel, so there's no argument between us on that one. You there you go.
Man, that would be tough.
I'm talking musically and aesthetically.
Musically, yes. Aesthetically, that would be tough. Liz Phair hits a lot of key points for me, like skinny girls, blonde, big noses. That's a hardcore trifecta for me.
That's the trifecta of boner for you? You're like, ding,
Diamonds.
There we go. I'm rock right now.
But this is
Jewel?
This is the shit commercial?
Wait a minute, it was Liz Phair? No, I'm telling you.
I typed in Jewel shit commercial.
It was Liz Phair then. There we go. That's my bad memory. I
Wait a
blame
minute,
the internet.
This is Liz Phair?
I'm not sure.
It sure is.
What?
It's her music, but I don't see her, and Jewel was in a fucking shit commercial.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait. Damn it, I got Liz Phair running in the background. Fuck.
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm like, wait a minute. She's not even in it. That don't even make sense.
So weird.
Because that commercial was not edited to that song whatsoever for that commercial.
That was a really bizarre experience.
That was just like, hey,
watching a shit commercial and hearing Liz Phair.
Play the song and show bitches shaving. Just we're good.
You fucking blew my mind for a second there.
Blew my own mind. All right, Jewel. It's a Jewel Shields for Chic. This is from Slate.com.
When did this happen?
Like 2003? Early 2000s had to be. It was before my ecstasy phase, after my heavy drinking phase.
Oh, it's the background commercial for some music and a recent ad for Chic Razor. Her song, Intuition.
Yep, that's it. That's the only reason I know that song. And that was supposedly a big hit for her. What's the date on that article?
July 7th, 2003.
Bam, nailed it.
So it probably was that commercial. Let's try to watch it without Liz Phair.
What the fuck? Dude, you were blowing my mind. I was like, did I slip into a parallel dimension at some point down here?
Mike, I'm going to smoke one of your cigarettes. Hey, Mike's here, by the way. Get on Mike, Mike.
Hey! Like shaving would be, simple. Now it finally can be with the new Chic Intuition, a triple blade razor surrounded by.
Oh yeah, this was the song with the video that I took as ironic.
In one step, so easy it makes the process of shaving as smooth as the results. Chic Intuition.
In the non-Alanis Morissette way.
You mean actually the definition of ironic?
True ironic, not AM ironic.
You know, I've heard people argue that she knew that the whole song wasn't ironic, which is the ironic part.
That was it.
I've heard people argue that. I don't know if they're fanboys, but that was their argument on that one.
Is this your jam? Is this a new sensation that's sweeping the nation?
What? Oh, really? We just heard it in a commercial.
What?
I never heard this song before.
You've never heard this? Dude, you've heard it. You just drank that memory away.
This song is old as fuck.
Lucky
What are you
fuck.
talking about?
I never heard this song.
Yeah. It didn't really work. Yeah.
She released a whole album of this shit that didn't work. Then she went all Lilith Fair.
This fucking Jewel?
Yeah.
The fuck is this?
This is your Mondo rack right here. She's off the artistic roll call.
What, did Britney Spears write this album?
Thank you. Listen to that breathy shit. I bet you it's the same producer.
Wow.
I never thought of it as
That
ironic.
sucks.
So good call. Because I mean, when Octung Baby came out, a lot of people didn't get that album. They were like, "What the fuck?" U2's been making fun of shit like this all. They're not making fun of, but shunning this. Why are they embracing it? It's kind of the point. Like, wasn't the '90s the age of irony?
Yeah.
I'm so back and forth. Like, I flip-flop constantly on U2. They have a lot of good songs. The Joshua Tree is a fantastic album.
Mm-hmm. Just for me, just for Bullet the Blue Sky.
I don't know, like how they want to dress and what their stage performance is like really doesn't matter to me.
I think it was because they embraced a lot of electronic aspects for that time period on that album versus their other albums.
Right.
Other albums were very. I remember people saying it's not organic like the rest of their albums. I remember that was a criticism constantly leveled at them around that time.
Well, I bet you their minds would be blown if they saw some of the recording process with Brian Eno for the Joshua Tree.
Exactly.
Because
keep in mind they made this turd.
From what I understand, it was very much of the process of jam and loop and create songs out of these textures. You know, it wasn't like the Edge sat down with an acoustic guitar and said, "I've been working on this riff here," and you know, Bono just started belting out lyrics and they came together like the Stones. Like, I think, you know, that they had been using that approach prior to, you know, showing their hand with these, like, you know, obviously when you hear like that era of Octung Baby and what was the other album that followed, Pop? Zooropa, yeah, that was another one.
Or was that their tour? I can't remember.
I don't know.
And wasn't Zooropa everything involved with it sucked ass?
Zooropa was the EP where Edge sang one in the video.
Oh,
don't think, don't talk, don't.
Oh God, I can't stand that song. Well, anyway, I mean,
people are kicking him in the face.
It's just another band that's gone the way of the Chili Peppers. Like, yeah, they're still making music. Some of it is actually better than most, but it's still not that interesting.
Yeah. It's like I can't name me a track past 1980 of the Rolling Stones that, first of all, just name me a track past 1980 by the Rolling Stones, and then name me one that's any good.
Start Me Up.
No, that came out in 80. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
past 1980.
I thought it came out in like 82 or something. I don't know. Waiting on a Friend. I can name their albums.
I couldn't.
Oh, Bridges to Babylon. That was the tour. I can name the tours and the album. That's what.
You're fulfilling
man, you got to lower the bar.
You're fulfilling half of the challenge. So you did give me a name.
You got to lower the bar here. Come on, man. You can't have these high standards. It's like when you go out looking for ash, you got to cast a wide net. You know. You aim for the 10, you're happy with the 5. And if she tries hard, it's all good.
Have you guys heard about the latest Marvin Gaye lawsuit?
Oh, who sued him? Or no, they're suing Ed Sheeran?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, this is not the Gaye estate, which I love saying. This is one of the writers of Let's Get It On, which apparently it seems like every famous person that's been interviewed on a podcast in the last 5 years has some story about how they helped write Let's Get It On. They're like, oh yeah, I talked to Marvin Gaye back in the day, and I was the one who said, "Let's get it on to him."
You know, I was
like, I like that.
I was sweeping in the corner, and I was like, "Hey man, what's going on? I don't know. Let's get it on, man." Next thing I know, brother writes a record.
So his thinking out loud is too much like. Are you familiar with this song?
Yes.
Have you heard it?
Yes.
Is this the Ed Sheeran one?
Ed Sheeran is a name I hear, but I have no
Ed
idea
Sheeran.
what the
Okay,
fuck.
you got to play a little bit of it. So
He
you
looks
can
like
hear
Red
it.
from Fraggle Rock.
Yes.
That's all I. And
Ed Sheeran. What's the name of the song?
Thinking Out Loud. So, what's the guy's name who was the co-writer?
I guess through the ways of chords, yes, it sounds very similar. But there is absolutely no, there's no construct there that I think. I mean, in context.
There you go. There's a mashup called "Let's Get It On While Thinking Out Loud."
Well, no, don't do the mashup. You know what "Let's Get It On" sounds like. Let's just hear Ed Sheeran's song.
If they're gonna go this far, they're gonna have to take down the entire 4-chord pop progression, which takes out all of music.
I never understood how. Yeah, if it's that chord progression sounds a lot like this one. Yeah. Then how the fuck did the blues survive without getting sued out of existence?
Ed Townsend.
Ooh.
Ed Townsend was a co-writer or maybe even writer just of Let's Get It On. Says in his lawsuit, the melodic, harmonic, and rhythmic compositions of Thinking are substantially and or strikingly familiar to the drum composition from Let's Get It On.
Dude. Like, you had to hear it and be like, maybe I should retool this.
I don't know, yeah. I think if I wrote this song, I'd be like, hey, that's a pretty good song. I should fuck with these chords a little bit because this sounds way too much like Let's Get It On.
Or how about this? Just cut the shit off at the front and just give him a fucking co-writing credit.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, look, it's inspired by him. It's an homage to him, whatever you want to call it. Here's his writing credit. His kids can fucking go buy another house.
But then there's also... like, the listener in me is just so what? Like, okay, yeah, there's lots of songs that when I hear them, I hear melodies of other songs pop up and I realize how similar they are. But I don't think like, oh, so-and-so's ripping somebody else off. As an artist, what Ed Sheeran has been doing has been mentioning Let's Get It On and even doing a medley in some performances.
And he should have given him a writing. He should have given him a writing credit. And saved himself the hassle.
What Ed Townsend is asking for in the lawsuit is barring him from performing the song.
See, that's attention to his fucking cause du jour.
Not
and
so.
He's going to get money out of it.
I think the artist side of me wins out, and I'm siding with Ed Sheeran.
Absolutely.
I mean.
Absolutely. There's no question.
On top of
everybody covers everything.
And if this is allowed to pass, what's next? Okay.
There's
so many
every bar band technically that doesn't pay ASCAP or BMI.
Well, that's a whole separate thing, and they do crack down on that as much as they can. But they have about as many people. They have less people that work in NASA or for ASCAP.
Exactly.
Let's get it on. Let's love, baby.
Now, one that I'm surprised has gone on as long as it has without a lawsuit is some Lady Antebellum song and Alan Parsons Project song.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Look for it. It is the exact same fucking song.
Yeah, play me that Lady Antebellum because I don't think I've heard it. Which Parsons song? Is it what is it called? Pressure?
No,
what's the name of the song? Dum, 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 dum.
Yep. This is it.
Yeah, I am the eye in the sky. Looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's chord progression. That's melody. How they have not been sued, I don't know. That's not like that wasn't a hit for Alan Parsons Project either.
It's played in dentist's office across the land.
I know, right? If a drill started up right now, my asshole would clench.
But I truly don't believe that, like, I don't think you should have to pay royalties on sampling. Unless you're doing, like...
You see the shirt? These poor guys went broke on Paul's Boutique.
Yeah, they did.
Dust Brothers were like, sorry, guys.
This is a one-off. Like, this is never happening again.
Yeah, we're going to play instruments on Check Your Head.
Like, is what Lady Antebellum did very uncreative? Yes. And in an ideal world, they wouldn't be financially rewarded for their uncreativity. But unfortunately, there's so many people that just don't give a fuck or have no taste that they're making a pretty good living off of it. So good for them.
Or I think they hear it and they go,
Does
wow,
Alan Parsons deserve some of that money? Absolutely not.
Get your motherfucking movie check.
Absolutely fucking not.
I think most people
As
hear it
an
and they
artist,
go, it sounds familiar and I kind of like it. And they can't nail down where it sounds familiar from. They just go, sounds familiar, I like it. Look at all the nursery rhymes that are the exact, first of all, they're all built off the major scale.
Right.
But I mean, look how many of them are exact copies of each other with different lyrics. I mean, that's hardwired into us from we're kids to be attracted to that. Mm-hmm. And I think musicians, hopefully more so than other people, tend to break out of that mold. And they go look for something off the beaten path that isn't on top 40 radio. I mean, we all know people who are more than happy to listen to top 40 radio their entire life and never listen to anything else. In fact, you try to play it for them, they're like, I don't want to hear that shit. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know if it was a conscious ripoff. I mean, it's credited to Paul McCartney as saying it, but I'm not sure even he said it, but he said if you steal from one, you're a thief. If you steal from everybody, you're a genius.
Right.
You know?
It's like jazz. The only reason that, it's not a problem in jazz is because there's no money in it.
Same with blues.
Right.
It's the exact same with blues.
Like they're all lifting each other's licks.
I believe this video makes
and it's all done in tribute.
Yeah, the axis of all.
Absolutely. When Coltrane would play a melody from a song or steal a lick from somebody, it wasn't out of spite. It wasn't fuck you, look what I'm gonna steal your shit. It was I love this shit. It was out of tribute.
Mm-hmm. My life is brilliant. My love is pure.
Yeah. Let's just collect all these artists and have one big lawsuit clusterfuck.
Yeah. A lawsuit gangbang, if you will.
Because that's what's going to happen if Ed Sheeran and other artists start getting losing lawsuits like this. If they do.
Well, here's a legit question.
Luckily, like the Stairway to Heaven lawsuit was thrown out of court, but that was UK. I don't know. I don't trust Americans to see reason when it comes to creativity. Well, all they see is like money.
Well, I mean, I thought we reached peak absurdity with this when John Fogerty got sued by his former record company for ripping himself off. Right. And I'm like, how do you rip yourself off? It's if I want to write the same fucking song for my entire career, just call me AC/DC and be done with it. All right? I mean, no one's suing them for sounding like them, but apparently we've reached it. And this is the question I really want: is it the artist going after other artists, or is it the people who stand to make the money in the lawsuit going after the newer artists?
Yeah, I mean, in the recent Marvin Gaye instances, Blurred Lines, it was the estate. So
his kids.
I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, but it was a bunch of people who had nothing to do
if
with that music.
And if they knew Pharrell at all, they knew Pharrell was not ripping off Marvin Gaye going, boy, I'm gonna get one over on somebody. Pharrell, of course,
he didn't. Yeah.
He's a huge Marvin Gaye fan. I mean, but once again, it's just the artist is an afterthought in this. It's say what people can have their opinions, say what you want, dislike them or like them. Stevie Ray Vaughan in the 80s probably brought the blues back to the forefront. Almost single-handedly. He even got Clapton to record a blues album. But I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan was always, he'd go on stage and go, by the way, here's Albert King, here's Freddie King, here's, Johnny Guitar Watson. He'd bring all the guys that influenced him up. And no one ever bitched about that. And I mean, if you really listen to, once again, blues, but there's really no money in it, like you said, it's all just variations on one theme, really. So, I don't know. I have seen this video, though, before, and this is what I tell people. There's only 12 notes. It's just how you mix them up, man.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think in this case, though, look, Ed Sheeran, man, you got years. You heard that verse.
But yeah, if
you should have maybe changed the dynamic up a little bit.
Give him a writing credit and call it a day.
I mean, I know chord structures are chord structure. I'm just saying if that part of the song, I'm not, because the song does veer off and do its own thing. I'm just saying that part of it. Looked at my producer, be like, hey, man, apparently, if you pay attention to the news, this family may go, hey, Apparently, Marvin Gaye must have left a shitty will because his children seem very litigious.
All I'm saying is that if you could just give a writing credit and that person get their cut of the money, then we might have actually had a few more Verve albums instead of a couple fucking reunions here and there.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I'd be happy with that. So,
I don't know.
Mick and Keith stole all their money.
No, I don't want even Mick and Keith. They were like, we haven't seen it. Listening to an interview with Keith Richards, he's like, I haven't seen a dime from that. I didn't get anything from that. Talk to Mick. I doubt he did either. It's the people who hold the publishing. Once again, the corporate people are making money off this. The artists don't give a shit. In fact, I guarantee you, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger weren't like, did you hear these fucking guys in the Verve steal our shit? This symphonic album we had nothing to do with?
Well, yeah, but in the case of Ed Sheeran, it's the writer. In the case of Led Zeppelin, it was the writer of the song in question that was supposedly very influential of Stairway to Heaven. And
if you're going to sue Zeppelin for stealing, just go to Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 and just call it a day and have a career.
I'm not trying to shit on your point. I'm just saying, like, you're right in that it's the money. It's just not exclusive to the corporations that are interested in that money. I don't know.
I mean, like, okay, if we're going back to it, there was a time in the late 80s, early 90s where there was this huge resurgence of interest in Robert Johnson. And the Stones had recorded Love in Vain and put down the writer as traditional. Now, that's a Robert Johnson song. Okay, and Robert Johnson's estate, let's be honest, the man died poor. I mean, he was poisoned or murdered or whatever the fuck. It's still, cops were like, whoa, another black guy dead? We're not really going to worry about it.
He's the one who had to deal with the devil?
Supposedly, yeah. At the crossroads. And Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid, whooped Steve Vai's ass over it later. But, I mean, no one came after him, and those have to be destitute people. But there was, once again, the minute he got popular, we're going to file a lawsuit. Who did it? It wasn't his estate. It was the people who held the rights to his music. And those are people that weren't even born when he recorded it. Had no interest in it besides they probably picked it up and said, fuck it, let's put out a box set as a niche fucking album, thing. And he'll sell a couple, 50,000.
These guys might as well be, what do they call the company that was going after the podcasts? You know what I'm talking about?
Copyright trolls?
Copyright trolls. Right. That's basically what they're doing.
Personal audio.
Yeah, that company.
I had to remember. Nothing personal.
But I was trying to think of the term, the derogative term that was being used to describe personal audio. But I think it was
copyright trolls, troll. Copyright Adam Carolla.
Yeah, you're right.
Podcast trolls.
A podcast troll would be something different, wouldn't it?
Oh, no, patent troll.
Patent troll. Thank you. Yep. That was it. Because
they were actually doing it with more than just podcasts. They were doing it with actual products. Like, not content, physical products people had created. John Oliver did a story on it. It was really...
Right, they were going after, like, Audible.
Yeah. I forgot all about that. Once again, it's amazing how quick shit falls out of our...
That was going on when we first launched.
Exactly.
I think it's libertarian. Being like wanting to vote for Gary Johnson and realizing how much of a libertarian I have been for years and years. Like, I really believe that the idea of copyright in general is fucking ridiculous. It should just be an open free market. If you have to have the right combination of good ideas and the good business sense to make them happen. And if somebody else outpaces you on that
capital,
then that's your problem. Like,
you shouldn't have been in that neighborhood that time of night. Shouldn't have been wearing that dress. Man.
Even when it comes to artistic endeavors, So if you want to, I'm not talking about like trying to pass off like a painting as a famous Pablo Picasso or something, doing a forgery. But if you want to paint pictures that look just like Pablo Picasso, fine. If people actually want to buy them and they've never even heard of Pablo Picasso and they don't understand where the influence comes from, so fucking what? You can't control that shit.
I mean, I got it. It's just like I kind of understood when Todd was coming from. Like, he doesn't believe in a cross between art and commerce. And I'm like, okay, in an idealistic world, I agree with you, but that's not the world we live in. And the world we live in isn't fair. And this is the hand we've been dealt. We want to change the laws. Let's do it. But as of right now, we're stuck with this shit.
I'm a firm believer in art for commerce. And
I'm just saying what Todd said.
No, I hear you.
If you make something and somebody wants to give you money for it, that's on them.
Yeah. I just don't believe in that commerce should be somehow protected by the government. And that's what copyright law is. It's
all I know is that I have one song written with a guy, and he's still playing it, making money off it, and I'm not. So there you go. That's how much the government protected that copyright. So
did you mail a copy to yourself?
No. I actually went with and did it the proper way. Filled out the paperwork, paid my fee, and all that shit.
I've had that stand up a couple times. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to stand up twice.
Really? The poor man's copyright?
Yeah, hell yeah.
How long ago was this?
2005.
This has been posted. I heard, because, when we looked into it back when we did it in 2006, they were like, no, they won't stand up in court. They'll get ripped to shreds.
Not in court, but you can use it as leverage.
That was pretty much it. We presented our copies of the people that had taken our song, which was a band from Ohio. We had, I was in a local band here. They had stolen a song from us when we'd played with them a couple times here and just locally, and basically just took a couple pictures, sent it to them, said it's postmarked. Do what you want to do. We'll take it to court. We don't mind.
There's a big difference though between what stands up in
scared
court
the shit out of them.
and what can be used as a tool for leverage. Yeah. And when the other side has nothing, then that's a very effective tool. If the other side has either facts or a shit ton of money, then that tool is useless.
If a bigger
mailing it to yourself means shit all.
If a real band had stolen some of our music and then put it on an album or whatever and was making money off of it, here's our postmark. Yeah, you'd
be fucked.
We would be laughed out of the courtroom. Yeah. Absolutely, but it does hold up in certain situations, and I wasn't going to do it in the first place. I thought it was stupid, but I was glad that we did once that all came down.
Good times.
Mike and I were working on some voiceover stuff last night, and the night before.
How'd that go? What are you voicing over?
I don't know.
Did I hear the cat in the background of that?
Possibly. I don't know. Could you hear any of this last night? I realized that we were playing your name over and over again, really loud.
Oh, wow. I realize you're saying that now.
Did you have weird dreams last night?
That's fucked up, man. I ate that edible. I'm smoking this bowl.
I'm like, dude, you're fucking with him. Stop.
What the fuck is this, man?
We're going to have to unplug him and wait 10 seconds and plug him back in. You're going to lock him up here.
A short film about a guy going crazy. They needed voices in the head. I like that one.
Chris.
Troy.
That's Rick. We go to Taco Bell, Rick.
Jesus, man.
Goes on forever.
That is not right.
Never told anyone about us. Now you must die.
That one came out pretty good. That's fun shit, though.
New intro. Remix.
I'd love to do shit like that for a living. Like the people who did sound design for Stranger Things.
Dude, okay, real quick. Does that have any connection to It, the Stephen King book?
No.
I mean, no, not like
No.
maybe a spiritual connection or a thematic connection.
It does.
Okay,
I'll tell you the connection. The two guys that created the show were originally hired to make a film version of It.
Okay. Wait a minute, it's the guy from True Detective, isn't it? Gary Fugis or Carrie? Okay,
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay.
You know, that guy.
I could look it up and get my facts straight.
His name's all fucked up. I couldn't pronounce it anyways.
But that's what I heard.
Okay.
So
well, no, I just saw an article comparing the two, and they were like, "There's like they're kissing cousins to each other or something." He put it that way, and I was like, "Okay, so
yeah. It was definitely an influence."
Mm-hmm.
Down to the fact it feels similar. I mean, even down to the fonts, down to the life. I guess the what's the word? The universe is very similar. I definitely
when I first saw that title screen, the font that was used was the same one that was used for Stephen King books back in the day.
Yeah, I noticed that,
and it's very much on purpose.
Okay,
and it's like watching Scream for the first time. Only it's 10 times better. Like I love Scream, and I love Scream in the way that it played with horror tropes, but it also played directly into them constantly.
No, yeah, definitely.
At the end,
never say "I'll be right back." Hey, I'm getting a beer.
At the end, a lot of people had to die, and the killer had to get exposed.
Yeah,
you couldn't play with it to the point where you fucked with the ending and left people hanging in some way. Stranger Things manages to play to the tropes and divert them in the right ways at the right times to really keep you interested in the characters. And for being all based on genres that are known for rather thin characters, you get just the opposite. Like if there is a connection to True Detectives, I'm not surprised, because what they did so brilliantly is it was a cop buddy thing. You know, you take two guys on opposites, like Lethal Weapon, you know, put them together, force them together, these circumstances that, keep them having to rely on each other, and you build a friendship on that. We've seen it so many fucking times over and over and over again. What made this difference? The difference in True Detective is how rounded and real those two characters were. That's what it was really all about. And you get a lot of that in Stranger Things as well.
Okay.
You know, you get an outstanding performance from Winona Ryder. And she plays a mother whose kid goes missing, and then she starts seeing crazy things. Right?
Well, don't ruin it for me, because
not ruining it at all.
Okay.
This is like right off the bat, episode 1.
I literally was watching episode 1. They were playing D&D, and they broke up and they started going someplace, and then someone was like, "Hey, you got to do something," and I forgot to go back to it.
Right.
So I've watched.
This is as much of a spoiler alert as telling you that Laura dies in Twin Peaks.
Okay.
So, Winona Ryder's performance. She played, so everyone thinks she's crazy, right? But it goes beyond that. You know, the character is deeper than just these. What's the word I'm looking for? The tropes, is whatever. These caricatures that we usually see in films like this.
She is literally like when you see her character, you know exactly what her character is going to be. Yeah. However, she plays it in a way that it's the first time seeing it. It truly is incredible. She did a remarkable.
What's the guy who plays the sheriff?
The cameo king. I have no idea. He's
the cameo king.
He's in so many things, but never like this.
Yeah, he plays the alcoholic, divorced, estranged from kid cop in the small town, but he becomes like, I don't know, just one of the best characters in that.
The crazy thing is no matter what we tell you about this, I could tell you from episode 1 until closing everything that happens, and you'd still be like, okay, you watch it, and you're gonna be still surprised. It's not gonna. There's nothing I can say to ruin it because you've already seen it, but you've never seen it like this. You know, you've never seen like a Stand By Me meets E.T. Like Stand By Me, you know, it's such a coming of age tale, yet it's so much more. It's deeper on every level, because you also get more of not just the kids, but you're also getting the adult aspect of things. Mm-hmm. And everybody thinks,
that's a good point. I think while a lot of the influence was worn on the sleeve with the fonts and the design and just the look and feel of it, and the fact that it took place in what, like 80s?
I thought it was 83.
Yeah,
it was
somewhere around
actually
there.
earlier 80s.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a huge Spielberg influence in that story.
I honestly
like
thought,
enormous. I didn't realize that until you.
I honestly
mentioned
had thought that he had done it based on the trailers I saw, and I was telling my wife, and we had it marked on the calendar, Spielberg series. I had no idea, literally, that he had nothing really. I mean, I don't know if he had nothing to do with it, but he wasn't listed as anything, you know, as spectacular, which blew my mind because it looks just.
I hate to knock Spielberg, but it almost. Stranger Things almost is what he was trying to do with what's it called? Super 8.
Yeah, exactly. It takes everything that he did and it put it to the level that he wanted it to be. It shows what happens when you inspire. Like, you take the idea and you cast it out. It's like, this is what music could be that would be wonderful. If music could be anything like cinematography or story writing.
But this is the same thing that we were talking about in music,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you take one thing and someone's trying to do it and they inspire you to do it and you do it better, or you do it that's in the same realm, how can it even be considered a crime?
We would think it would be ridiculous if Stephen King was suing the creators of Stranger Things for ripping off his font and his look, right? It's so obviously a tribute.
Right.
It's the same thing with music.
Exactly.
And sure, you can argue that, like, okay, if Ed Sheeran's song is a tribute to Let's Get It On, it's not a very good one. But, you know, that's just my opinion. And obviously there's a lot of people that are buying his tickets and supporting him. So they happen to think it's a good one. Or they don't even know. But, again, you can't control that.
Right. I guess where I get upset about that whole, just going, not to go like too far back, but where I get upset about that is they want to ban him from doing it live. The problem I have is most people aren't paying to see him do that live. They're paying to see him live. They're paying to see him live. Like, you perform that song for 30 seconds, and then you go into your own song. I see nothing wrong with that.
I didn't see anything in the suit that said he couldn't perform Let's Get It On live.
They're trying to ban him from performing his song live?
Yes.
Oh, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. That's brilliant. That's what
if he does lose this suit, if I was Ed Sheeran and I lost this suit, I would perform Let's Get It On every fucking night.
Hell yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say, yeah, that's the
every fucking night.
The only solution,
and just do like knock down, drag out versions of it. 10 minutes, just on the knees,
bring that,
just doing the whole. Like
hamming it up,
banging really
just
to get it on,
making the audience wet and screaming, throwing panties on the stage and shit.
Just getting it on.
Okay. And then talk about how the only way Ed Townsend got laid from Let's Get It On is by paying a prostitute.
Hey, man. She's putting herself through college. Leave her alone.
I'm not knocking the profession.
All right, so are we going to wrap it up? Or
I think it's a good time.
We're blowing our nut on Ed Sheeran opening and closing with Let's Get It On. And he does it as the encore.
Yeah, he opens and closes with it.
Yes,
absolutely.
I told real quick. I told you guys about going to like 80s Fest when 96.3 was like, I think, the Planet, and they did 80s stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Flock of Seagulls opened with Ran So Far, and closed with it. And I was like,
yes, right said Fred. Like, what do you think they open and close with?
When was that? Because I'm almost 100% sure I was there.
Their whole set is actually just an extended mix of I'm Too Sexy.
Back when it was still Pine Knob.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were like, we're going to change up one of our hits. And it's like, you already played this fucking song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, no one believes me on it. I'm like, dude, you had to be there. No, so surreal.
My dad, every time there was an 80s Love Fest anywhere, he was there. And unfortunately, I would go, kicking and screaming, but he would take me. And it was, you're 100%. Yes. It was 96.3. It was right before they changed over to being the 93.1 DRQ knockoff.
Yeah.
And, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I went for two reasons. I went to see the Violent Femmes, and I went to see the Smithereens. So I was happy. I can't even remember who else was on the bill besides... The only reason Flock of Seagulls even stands out
because
of
the dual open close.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, also, if I was Ed Sheeran, I would gladly pay the royalties for every time that I performed Let's Get It On in nickels. Personally,
hell yeah.
Pay him in 1970s money.
I would give them
1970s
stand on his
royalty
lawn and chuck them like.
Be like, what was it? Larry Flint, when he paid his fine for contempt of court. Just had a bunch of strippers walk in, dump singles out of bags, garbage bags. He's like, next time, cashier's check, please, Mr. Flint.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for listening. It's like episode 2, but not really. Second episode back.
Episode 2.1?
Yeah. Something like that.
What?
147.2. I'm just spewing out numbers randomly now. So on that note, we will catch you next week.
It's the rebooted Unregimented. It's unregimented now.
Should we have gotten an all-female cast?
We need a female bass player. That's what we need.
Oh, see?
Dude, I'm telling you. I will hunt for that article about...
If you enjoy this show and want more people to know about it, head on over to iTunes, leave a comment, and rate it 5 stars. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Just search for Christopher Media. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
The thing about the Home and Auto Bundle from Progressive is that by now you've heard a lot of ads about the Home and Auto Bundle from Progressive. We don't even need the words the Home and Auto Bundle anymore to tell you that you could save big with the ring-tailed lemur from Progressive, or that every hot peach cobbler comes with round-the-clock service and protection. And that's the thing about the goat with magic powers. You've heard a lot of ads about the sushi in Vancouver. See how much you could save with the Home and Auto with the Shaman in the Jungle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
The sweet aromas of the apple fritter, cinnamon roll, and blueberry muffin are hard to resist. So making it home without reaching in your McDonald's bag is no easy task. But nothing worth doing is easy. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.